The Middle East has once again become the center of global attention as tensions between Iran and Israel continue to escalate, creating fears that the region may be moving toward one of the most dangerous conflicts in modern history. A conflict that could reshape global politics, disrupt energy markets, and potentially pull major world powers into a much larger confrontation. For decades, these two nations have been locked in a complex rivalry built on political ideology, regional influence, and national security concerns. But the current situation appears far more volatile than in previous years, as both sides possess advanced military technologies, powerful missile systems, and sophisticated cyber warfare capabilities. The origins of this rivalry go back to the dramatic political changes that took place after the Iranian Revolution of 1979, when Iran's leadership changed completely and the country adopted a foreign policy that strongly opposed Israel's existence in the region, replacing earlier diplomatic relations with open hostility and long-term strategic competition. Over the following decades, the conflict rarely took the form of direct warfare between the two countries. Instead, it evolved into a shadow struggle fought through alliances and regional partners, often described by analysts as proxy warfare, where Iran expanded its influence by supporting armed groups such as Hezbollah in Lebanon and Hamas in Gaza, organizations that have been involved in multiple confrontations with Israel and remain key actors in the region's security landscape. Israel, viewing these groups as serious threats to its national security, has responded through a strategy of targeted military operations and intelligence campaigns aimed at limiting Iranian influence, including airstrikes on military infrastructure and supply networks, believed to support Iranian-backed forces, particularly inside Syria, where Iran has maintained military advisors and allied militias for years. Concerned. Another major factor intensifying tensions between the two countries is Iran's nuclear program, which Israel believes could eventually lead to the development of nuclear weapons, something Israeli leaders have repeatedly stated they will not allow under any circumstances. This issue has dominated international diplomacy for years and led to negotiations that resulted in the Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action, an agreement designed to limit Iran's nuclear activities in exchange for relief from international sanctions. Yet the future of this agreement has remained uncertain, contributing to mistrust and renewed geopolitical tensions. As diplomatic efforts struggled to maintain stability, both Iran and Israel continued to invest heavily in military technology, strengthening their ability to project power and defend against potential attacks. Israel developed sophisticated defense systems, such as the Iron Dome, designed to intercept incoming rockets and protect populated areas, while Iran focused on expanding its missile arsenal and developing long-range drones capable of reaching targets across the region. The rapid development of drone warfare and precision-guided missile technology has significantly changed the nature of modern conflict in the Middle East, allowing attacks to be carried out faster, more accurately, and sometimes without immediate identification of the responsible party. As tensions rise, the international community has become increasingly concerned about the possibility of escalation, with countries such as the United States and Russia closely monitoring developments because any direct confrontation between Iran and Israel could destabilize the entire region and impact global security. One of the most critical economic concerns is the safety of the Strait of Hormuz, a narrow maritime corridor through which a significant portion of the world's oil supply passes every day, meaning that even a temporary disruption caused by military activity could drive energy prices dramatically higher and create ripple effects across global markets. Financial institutions, governments, and energy companies all recognize that instability in this region has far-reaching consequences that extend well beyond the Middle East itself. At the same time, the humanitarian impact of rising tensions cannot be ignored, as millions of civilians across the region live under the constant fear that political decisions and military confrontations could suddenly escalate into a full-scale war, forcing communities to deal with displacement, economic hardship, and long-term insecurity. Analysts remain divided about the likelihood of a direct war between Iran and Israel, with some arguing that both countries understand the devastating consequences such a conflict would bring and therefore prefer limited confrontations rather than total war, while others warn that the risk of miscalculation remains extremely high in an environment where military forces operate in close proximity and retaliatory actions can escalate quickly. The Middle East has experienced many periods of instability throughout modern history, but the current moment stands out because of the combination of advanced weapons technology, complex alliances, ideological tensions, and the enormous economic importance of the region's energy resources. In this environment, even a single incident, such as a missile strike, naval confrontation, or cyber attack, could trigger a chain reaction that pulls multiple countries into the conflict and transforms a regional crisis into a global emergency. For this reason, diplomats around the world continue to push for dialogue and de escalation, hoping that political solutions can prevent further violence. Yet the reality remains that tensions between Iran and Israel are deeply rooted in decades of mistrust and competing strategic interests, making the search for long term stability extremely challenging. As the world watches closely, the future of the Middle East may depend on the decisions made by leaders in the coming months. Decisions that could either calm the situation and open a path toward diplomacy, or intensify the rivalry and push the region toward another devastating chapter of conflict that could affect the entire world.